everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer, dance educator, and dance analyst based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at BTOB's Wind and Wish choreography practice video. So let me tell you right now, I have never seen a BTOB choreography video. I have heard of their music. I have had some of it a part of my iTunes library before they started music streaming services. So I have given money to purchasing their music. And I'm very excited about this. I have no idea what their movement quality is going to be like. And this is actually a Patreon request. Iceland, thank you so much for the request. I am very excited to take a look at this. And I think without further ado, the only thing that we got to do now is watch and enjoy. Let's go.
자, 카메라 보고 있나? 지금 벌써 321번째 테이크입니다. 금방 씨 얼굴 안 나와요. 아이고, 오고. 지친 게 얼굴에 근육이 되네. 자, 이거 오늘 찍어서 회장님 보내드려야 되니까 시작.
Little skit in the beginning, never killed nobody, ever. They are singing in the dance practice where you can freaking hear them. Yeah. I love the fact we can hear them singing. I'm not used to that. They either have it so loud you can't hear or what. We got some shows. They're a live kind of group. Whoa!
Hey!
Can somebody just meow? Hold on. Yeah, breathe, my guys, breathe. God, I love this so much. This is screaming, they're my age, like nobody's business, I swear. Oh, so good. Yeah, dude, That was so freaking, that was the most realistic thing I think I've ever watched in my life. That was awesome. Oh my god, I love that so much for so many different reasons. Oh, this is gonna be hard to analyze it because it's like, here's the deal. I know they're more a vocal group. They were pretty clean for the most part. I mean, we can go through like the mechanics of each dancer because remember, I'm approaching this more from not like practicality of stage because that's not really my scope. My scope's more so looking at a body in terms of the movement quality that they're trying to come across as with the choreographic, intention behind it and kind of figuring out a way to make the group more cohesive as a group. Like that's more so my scope. So I may take that approach, but also, you know what? Hold on. Okay, so this came out in 2023, which was last year at the time we were recording this. So that's actually really fun. Because what I love about this is the fact that so I know B2B is more, I think they're what? Gen 2, Gen 3? They're that around that era. And that's the era that if I put myself at the age, they're around my age. Honestly, I'm in my late 20s. They're around there. They are giving those vibes in the best way possible for me because there's a difference between you have 17, I would say is around their age. I would say they may be a little older. I don't know. Please do not just say, remember, first time watching B2B here. But I have heard of them for quite an extensive period of time, so I'm very familiar with them enough. And I know one of them's, you ready for this? I think he was on We Got Married, that variety show, and he's with Dive Studios with Eric Nam, right? Am I wrong? Pinu? Is this right here? Also, fun fact, B2B, I accidentally mistook them as people that I saw on, it was in To Us's prologue. I totally thought that B2B was a part of Hybe. I had no freaking clue. They were part of Cube. But I mean, to each their own. I know that they are now. I learned the hard way. Thank you, Comments, for being gracious to me about reminding me of their roots of entertainment agency. But it's really cool to see them. This is a very new, a newer. This is B2B, and I really like how they just look like regular guys. Can I talk about that too? And I think that's what I love about it is that they don't remind me of what is it? How there's a lot of beauty standards that exist in the sense of how an idol's supposed to look. And some of it I think it's very unsafe. I honestly feel. And I have a lot of hot takes, but honestly legit things of maybe we shouldn't be expecting people who are an idol to carry this type of beauty proportion lifestyle because it's not healthy for the amount of hours they train. You know what I mean? Picking up what I'm pointing down. I love the fact that they look like regular human beings. I absolutely love it because for me, it has nothing to do with, you don't have to look a certain way. And they all look great, by the way. They all look healthy. They all look amazing. Truly. And I feel, honestly, that out of, I'm trying to think. I think that's one of my favorite facets of looking at Gen 2, Gen 3 groups that are still around is they feel very human to me. Not just because of the nostalgic factor of I remember seeing what they used to look like. Not BTOB, but people of their era when they were in their earlier stages, rookie years. Everyone looks so different. They're young. And of course, a lot of them feel very what's the word? Fragile. A lot of them just have this fragile carriage about them. They look very strong. And they just look like normal guys. And that vibe out and have a great track. It's truly what it feels like. And it makes me really happy to see. And I can tell based on the relationship that they have a decent enough one to want to hang out with each other for this long. I'm surprised this is a 2023 thing. But I do know that they are still a group, which I think is super fun. I love it. And the fact we can hear them sing, can we talk about that? That once again. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, talking from the forefront. This is a group of 6 too. Caught me off guard. I don't know, have they always been a group of 6? You let me know. I love it though. How they started, they end up in a sense of balance. I love having the different layers represented, the levels represented. You have some lying completely on the floor. fully standing, facing a different direction, kneeling a little bit more, fully sitting, and then fully laying. Little note of reference, it does feel like we do have a lot of people kind of clumped up onto one side and very spaced out over here. So this is just something like an idea maybe of having one of them potentially move in. I don't know if it's just how they set it up or what. It does create some sense of balance, but because we have kind of this layered, overlap between our guys here and they're very separated over here, I don't know if it's wordplay or what. That's probably why it kind of gives the image that it does, but I do appreciate the balance of it though, of the levels represented. They go down, slowly come up, right here. Love it. They go up and then they drop down. Notice with this that some of them are catering their weight more towards the back and some are catering more to one side, bending it, and some are using to do both. I think it just kind of depends on the side of the individual. So for me, I think for them, they take the individualized approach, but as long as the dynamic is the same, which most groups do, and I highly encourage, because you can be, in unison and in sync with each other without looking like robots. And I think they're showcasing that pretty well so far. I think ATs in their early, their new, more recent eras, great example too. So you have somebody in the back. So that's kind of the thing you get when you deal with even groups. A lot of times you end up sacrificing somebody in the back, or you have to be more creative with your leveling in order to maintain symmetry. That's more of a universal concept. Us as humans appreciate symmetry, and so that's why a lot of times those types of concessions are made. But they're doing a good job with the levels, switching it through. Now having one of them branch away. I love hearing it live. I think I may say that about 15 more times. It's incredible. I love it so much, where you can just hear the track enough, but also, just being able to hear them. I know they're more of a singing group than like a dancing heavy group, and I respect that. And I love the fact that the choreography is where it's not basic. It's not like basic ballad choreo. It does have structure. It has levels in it. It has some groove represented in it. And we'll talk through about how some of them, their mechanics of how they move. Because it's 2023, I actually think this could be potentially helpful to them. If any of them ever encounter this, or if you're a fan that wants them to be aware that this kind of exists. Remember, I'm a dance analyst, so if they're individuals who I don't know like with these groups how their training is, if they've ever wondered how to feel more comfortable with certain styles of movement, I may bring up some suggestions here, and if I'm actually going to be able to be of help, let them know. I love to be able to be of help to them. And I say that about a lot of companies, and so I think this is really cool. Notice with the line here, it is a little bit off, and the reason why you can tell that is that some of them, their back is kind of exposed. So you can kind of see like there's a little bit of an overlap happening here, but then it kind of extends back a little bit further. And then you see somebody kind of disappear. That's how you can tell. You can also tell based on the type of the heel that they have up. He has his entire foot up as well as him, but also his is more propped up and propped. So those would be little baby things if you wanted to really refine the movement or refine how it looks. That'd be a really great way to kind of tackle and approach that. But sliding through, I love how we went over while they chose to transition down. That was really nice, and it still maintained him as a feature very easily. Now, having them go, nice resistance happening here. I love it. Also note where weight is happening. So I think a collective thing I've noticed is some of them don't quite take enough risk in their weight distribution. So here I notice he's catering his weight more towards the back. How I realize this is because of the hinge. In order to have a counterbalance of the hinge, you got to have some weight bearing on this side in order to make this feasible, to make you feel even and to take that risk of the torso. So I really like that choice. I think this is a great choice. It does show a really great opposition, but notice he's one of the only ones kind of doing it. You have, I would say Pino. I hope I'm right with his name. Pino is actually very neutral. For me, out of all the members, I feel like he may feel the most not as refined in terms of fluent in movement quality, but he doesn't stick out in any way, in that way of like, ooh, we need to work on that. Not at all. That's not my point in that. I just, based on the initial reaction or just watching, I could tell that for him, and the reason why is because of his upper back is very, very stiff. And it kind of feels locked up almost. So I may talk about his grooves and actually talk about troubleshooting what pineal can do to feel more comfortable riding through those grooves. But I really like this choice here. And some of them are, where they're looking, I do appreciate. Some of them are looking a bit downcast. So that would be something, I would be like, okay, where are we looking with our hand? I do like having our feature here, being able to showcase his hand as well. So that'd be my general note. I'm assuming that this is kind of our overall overall look that we want to go for to match that feature. Some of them are a little bit bent towards the inside. I think either are fine. It's just clarifying which way you want to go with. So it's just all ideal stuff. Yeah, cool. Oh, there is one thing I didn't really point out, because going back to this part, remember how I said the hinge is how I could tell he places his weight on the back. Everybody else, you can kind of see that they're catering their weight. His is more neutral between the two. His is catered more towards the front, as well as Pino's is more towards the front. He's walking, he doesn't really count. Features kind of get to do their own thing, modify, progress, do what they need to. As long as they are complementary to whatever's happening over here, you're fine. And then I would say for him, he kind of caters it a little bit to the back, because you can tell by the arched foot. But it does feel like he's not using a hinge at all. He's keeping it pretty neutral. So, in all, you notice how weight can influence just the subtleties of a posture. So that's my little note there. Walking through, I love that boom right there. I love that moment. Yeah, that's doom, doom, doom. I love the step out. Nice syncopation on the rhythm. Great usage of demonstrating there's something new within the music. Now here, noticing, I would say it's one of our guys, Pino, is just a little bit late on this movement. You can also tell that he's more flat-footed and he doesn't have as much weight pushed towards the balls of the feet to do those quick switches of the feet. So that's my little note. Some also are crossing over with the body, and then some are choosing to let it kind of go and fly. Walking away. I know, here's the deal. Let me put it this way. I am fully aware that this is not a taking seriously kind of dance practice. So that's why I'm not approaching it as such. So please keep that in mind. I'm just looking at how they're doing the movements. It's clean, but also I can figure out and I can look at what their chronic movement qualities are just from this alone. And it's really nice to see it. And I'm glad that this is a 2023, because I actually feel like I can be helpful to BTOB in some way, shape, or form. Because that's one reason why I make these, is not just to be, just to help fans understand why do they like this group so much, or why do they like this track, or why do they like the choreography. I try to be helpful in that way of what makes it likable, but also if you're a fan and you notice something's like, oh, I like that, but I'm curious as to why they made that choice. I like helping in that way too, because I've just been exposed to choreography for a long time. I am a choreographer myself, and I've done extensive analytics on multiple different circuits of choreography, whether it's competitive, recreational, artistry, conceptual, classroom-based, combo choreo, K-pop choreography. As somebody who was a fan of Gen 2, I was very familiar, it's like implicit at this point on the type of structure, how K-pop choreo works, live performance. There's so many things. So for me, I know their vocals matter more than their movement. The movement is there to complement. The movement is not the forefront. I understand that. So please keep that in mind when I am going through this. And anything that I say is in no way, shape, or form they're doing something wrong at all. They're not. They truly are. I don't think they really make any mistakes in this. It's just being an observer and just letting you know what I observed. You know, so I love this, having the complementary. This is one of those things that I can tell that P-Neil does feel a little bit more stiff. You can tell based on how he shifts his weight, but notice he's not really allowing any usage of the chest at all in a lot of his movements. That's just probably his movement quality. So my suggestion for him is to just think through whenever you do any sort of movement, whether it's extending the arms out, extending them in, down. It really feels like he's doing choreo, but I don't know if it's either, there could be a reason as to why that's the case. Because here's the thing, I even work, I work with so many different types of students where they, different things that they have may determine their movement quality in general. There's so many outside factors besides of just not being aware that can play a part. So there's a chance that P-Neil may have something going on to where he cannot be as fluid in his chest or in his movement like the other members. That's okay. I'm just strictly coming at it if hypothetically it's just he's just always danced in this way and never really explored his chest or his torso. This is what I'm in reference to. So please keep that in mind. For me here, I feel that if he uses his chest in isolation, if he actually practices isolations, and then whenever he extends his arms back, he pushes his chest forward, you push your arms forward, you push your chest back in opposition. If you just play the opposition game, if like my energy, if I'm wanting somebody to see this hand, my chest is going to go the opposite way. If I want people to see this hand, my chest is going the opposite way. So that's something you can even factor into your own movement quality too. If you want to show a sense of presence and essence, that's a really fun kind of go-to thing you can try to develop. And so if I'm like kicking my leg, throwing my chest in the opposite direction can really make it look more full. That's not an end-all be-all, but it's a really good kind of like cheat sheet almost. Whenever you're doing a movement, the chest is such a beautiful vessel and facet. That's where groove originates from, you know, and that's where the groove is in the chest and the torso. So that's just my like in general note that I'll give to pineal. I may not touch too much on it more because I've kind of hit that chronic spot of that could be something that for him mechanically, if he thinks through actually working on isos, that could be really helpful for him in going opposition to a lot of the movements. It can make him feel more natural and more comfortable doing some of the movements too. So Ranajaming through, da-da-da-da-dee-dee. Really like that choice with the Ranajam with the pickup. Yeah, it's just fun. Da-da-da-da. Picking it up and through, turning it around. Really nice. You see just little baby spacing over here, but it's so minimal. It is what it is. Then we pick it up, bringing it through. Here's another thing. I think another reason why, if we just, let's just say pineal looks the exact same as everybody else, how they have him placed in these formations a lot of times, and a lot of like you're noticing the more like the heavier kind of dance movement, it feels like he was placed in the back to not be seen. Now, of course, I'm not saying that out of passiveness or anything. It just looks that way because I've seen it about twice now. He is the one guy, because they're not switching the guys out for that. He's the one guy that's ending up in that back. So far, I mean, I've seen it twice now. So we'll see if that's really the case. I'm not even reading into it as that at all. It's just something that I've just observed, like I said. Nothing negative in basis to that whatsoever. Switching it through, I like that little doom, nice little moment there. It was super fun. Now notice some of them chose to go up instead of swimming through, so that would be a very interesting thing to kind of refine. Range. Some of them chose to hit and some really invested in let the elbow drive it. Some use the hand to drive it. That does change your timing. So if I'm using my elbow's going to actually promote it to go faster because my elbow is closer to my back than my hand is. My hand, I'm using more things to leverage the speed, but in my elbow, I'm using that to where this gets the same amount of speed as this. But if I'm here, this gets the fastest speed and everything slows down a little bit. But if I go more in the middle, it's a little bit faster. So that's how your range, or from A to point B, is going to change as well. Da 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 da. Yeah, da da da. I love that ding ding. Love that, like having that sound, and then with the look, is really well in a musicality standpoint. I like the choreography a lot. It's fun. I really like this. Bringing it through. Yeah, da da da. And that would be a really great opportunity for pineal, but to really like lean into that side, because if his body's traveling this direction, if he leans that chest the other way, it's going to look more laid back, and it matches his tone a lot more versus da da, but like da da. You see how just that subtlety would make him feel better. I really feel like my suggestion would make him feel better, but also to each his own. That is absolutely fine, because they're doing totally fine without any of my suggestions. That's just my little note though. Bringing it through, da 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 da, like that. Yeah, that was fun. A very humorous moment there, kicking it through. Dee-dee-dee-dee, bum bum, da-da-da-da, bum bum. For there, once again, I know they're just doing choreo. For me, I did notice that from a couple of them, they're using their hands to kind of initiate the move. If they thought about using the back for that, it would feel a little bit stronger, and they could do more dynamically with that type of choice. And it would make it look more consistent, like the swing through. Love that. I do notice, I don't know who's quite our singer. I'm assuming my guy with his mouth open, potentially. I know one of them's a little bit lower, so I don't know if they were all supposed to make their own choice. Let me go back and see. Da-da-da-da. They did kind of make like a little opening for one of them, so that's a nice little moment. If they were all supposed to make their own choice, possibly having one other person go a little bit lower, or like go really, really low, that would have created a potentially a really nice kind of leveled moment up to this point right here. Because if he was right here, if he dropped all the way down and had this moment right here, and he kind of got closer and had this moment right there, and this is all looks like mumbo jumbo, but it would have had this kind of moment. But also this looks fine because it does look like two sections with one person peeking through like a little hallway. So that's like, honestly, both are totally fine. Yeah, and that's, I like that. Clever, you smile. And the branch away, of course, pineal takes a walk away, absolutely fine. And I like this moment here where they all go out to the outside. Now notice, it does feel like one's going straight side, one's going front and back and back. So that would be my suggestion, is if people took the corners, that could make this frame a little bit more, and it'll feel more balanced, because it does feel like we have people going to the back, he's going front, so he would need to go to the front. But I do like the idea that we are also seeing of kind of exploring the corners. There's a chance I may have caught this right in the middle of no, that's just kind of how it is. Bringing it through and the slide through. Okay, so their setups were that way in order for them to ensure that they could come up in the corners. So I totally understand that. And they branch up. They also are pretty, I mean, you see how close they are to that wall. They had to make some concession to that, so I totally understand that. And I like that they're there, boom, boom, bringing it through. One of them didn't quite pick up his foot there. Yeah, bring it up and down. So that would be my little note too, is picking up the foot. It's going to make it look a little bit more full and more buildable. If we slide it through, it's going to feel more like just more legato in frame, more smooth, you know? So those are just two different dynamic things. And here's the reason why too, I feel like with dance practices, yes, they are dance practices, but you do know a lot of people, especially in these more recent years, really rely upon dance practices to understand the details of the choreography, because even the performance videos, they have a lot of cuts in them, a lot of cinematic close-ups. They're freaking great, don't get me wrong. But if you're a cover individual, somebody who wants to cover choreography, and I have an extensive background in that as well. A lot of it I did for online dance platforms. So I've done many classes online. So I'm very familiar with trying to mimic or understand the overall construct of what I'm looking at and learn it and try to replicate it from a video. All that to say, with this, just with dance practices in general, something that we learn is with them is that whenever people, let's say if someone's doing a group cover, and I don't know how many groups cover groups like B2B. That's another thing too, because some groups get covered all the time, like 17 gets covered all the time. I would say AGs get covered all the time, XG, you know, a lot of just groups that sing, you know, in the idol sense. Regardless if it's J-pop, C-pop, K-pop, whatever, a lot of them have to like look at members and they're assigned members, right? And they try to figure out how to do whatever that member's doing, and it can potentially cause a bit, maybe some confusion of, oh, what's the move supposed to be? It's supposed to be picked up or it's supposed to be drugged, because we see both. And so it does create some discourse within those who are trying to cover out of appreciation for the groups, which is why a lot of times dance practices have now turned into like, we have to be really clean, because there's like a subtle expectation out of that. Now, I don't want to put that on them, and I don't think it's fair because they're humans, right? And we don't know the circumstances of this, that, and the other. I'm glad that we get to see this. Let's just call it what it is. I love it. But all that to say, I mean, I really feel that is one aspect that we may be feeling psychologically going into dance practices nowadays, is there's that extra thing in mind of how practical or replicable can this be because of the synchronicity that we have. I know that was a bit long-winded, so I apologize if that was boring or non-applicable to you, but that's something in my head that I thought more recently when I see those little differences, because I know they're mirrored, but one went slide, one went pick up. I do, for me, out of the preference of the two, I did like the pick up because it's a pre-course before we go into the course. That's my little, that would be my recommendation. Going in. I love that. That was fun. Sliding and branching it out, sliding through, do a nice little accent of the feet, kind of transition it over. Really nice focus. And I like right there, they go in, have a little moment there. Now it did feel like they were doing a wave. Yep, that dee. Now for me, I am a waver in the waving community, so I'm really tedious on it when it comes to fingers, because it doesn't get neglected within the waving technique, and I am an offender of that. Which is why I'm very sensitive to it. So if you do choose to do that kind of movement on somebody, for me, my go-to would be if you are going to do a wave kind of influence. I don't know if that's quite what they were doing. It could just be a breath, which would make that totally fine. If they were in fact waving and they were told to wave, that would be my note, to really try to intention, like make those fingers known through it to complete the wave. Because it's technically incomplete if you try to do a wave and you don't allow those fingers to express the energy through as well. But that felt more like a breath. So we'll chalk it up to that. Love that, because they also created this tension within a breath there as well. Yay! Yep, and I like that right there. Nice and chill. With these kind of groups, they do feel more viral in nature, like more viral groups that you see, just more kind of like the little digs, a little pickup at the foot. I do like it. It's enjoyable. It has an old school flair about it, but also notice that it's definitely more individualized. But with those types of groups, because it's more social, there's tend to be more grace in the synchronicity in terms of more social types of moves. Yeah, bringing it through. I like the pull away. Some of them are really going for it. I love it. Picking it up. Whoa. Picking it through. Really like that. Hey. Picking up the foot. I also know some of them are really picking up the foot. Some are not. Once again, though, I know this one's not like a super serious dance practice. I already kind of made my sentiments known of with that was a clear difference in movement execution. One was a pickup, one was a drag. Whether or not somebody picks up their foot at 90 degrees versus somebody picking up at a 45, I don't really care so much in this one in comparison to some of the other ones that I do see, and the expectation is that they're all supposed to be on the same page. That's a little different. But here, I like the pull through. Love the little heart. I'm assuming that was just a nice little thing for the camera. I like the turnaround. It was nice where you have 3 of them, and then you have 3. Now notice it does feel a bit off balance, but the reason why is because he's pretty far back, and you would want to have somebody about right there, right, to make it symmetrical. But I do appreciate the fact that we are choosing to do a split center because it allows everybody to be seen. And I like how half are going back, half are going front. I like the little tap tap, picking it up. Let's have a little look here. Yep, so it's sliding it through. Turning it through. Yeah, like that. Okay. He branches away. The bounces, I love that. That's just fun. This just feels fun to me. Picking it through. Some, of course, are really swinging through. Some are choosing to keep it more chill. That's fine. Whoa. Yep. Everybody, nice levels where we have it branch through. Then we have our mid, and then we have our tall. Yeah, da-da-da-da. Really like that choice. That's fun. That was really enjoyable too. Yep. With the kick through, that did feel like a little bit of a sturdy moment right there with the kicks. Very laid back. Switching through. They did a good job there with the usage of the foot with the twist out and then having the taps of the cheeks. I really liked that. That was cool. Yep, love that. Love it. And then things start to become more and more and more unhinged, starting about right here. Yeah. Yeah. And the breaking for me. I love it. And the breathing. This is what kills me. I think he's my spirit animal out of everybody. This is amazing. He's like... As I should. They are sweating already. Bless them. That is awesome. I love it. And look. God, I love it. I love it. That's real. Yeah, they bring it through. And we have our moment right here. Bringing it, sliding it in the back, twisting it around. Oh, they're kind of switching between the two. That was fun. Hey! Yeah, yeah. Whoa! Really fun. Just in general, I mean, you can tell I'm kind of just having more fun with just watching them do this part than actually like analyzing through. I like the choices they made with the unison, of course, having them have 1 point feature and having somebody in the back. This is, of course, somebody different in the back than Peniel here, but you can see the Peniel's kind of hangs out in the back for the majority of group choreo. Then right here, really nice. And look at him coming to the front. Hey, hey. Hey, really like that in the transition all the way through. Really, really nice. Just very simple window change. So a window is where you have a line, and in the next line, there's somebody in between the spaces. So that's a windowed formation. Love that. Say whoa, and I love that they get to have their moment right here. And they're done. And they're like, oh, thank God. And he's like, oh my God. That is me. Good. That was really fun. So in general, I'm a really big fan of this. It makes me really, I mean, I can already see them as humans with this one, and it makes me really enjoy just the overall vibes of this, where you can still see the choreography, but you can appreciate their hard work, but also they're like, yo, we're trying over here. I love it, and this was really, really fun for me. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I hope that was helpful in some way. I really, really enjoy just looking at groups, especially for the first time. It's technically a first time ever for me for BTOB, but I have a feeling that this may not be the last time I look at them, and I think that is a-okay. They are really fun. They definitely give off nostalgia for me, obviously just from the name alone, and I've heard their music from years and years past. They are giving, like, they just feel very relatable. And I think that's what I really like, because it reminds me of when I'm with my friends and we all do choreo and I'm like, oh my god, you know, but you still have to put on a show. I totally vibe with that, and that definitely feels very, they just feel relatable, and I'm a fan. And I think I've heard, like, I just heard like little bits from Pinu from his time, I think it's with Dive Studios. Please forgive me if I'm wrong, but he's with a podcast, and I see it pop up on my algorithm a lot. So I really like his, you know, I like how he comes across there. So it's cool to see it translated in a movement quality sense. And if you're a fan of this group, I would love to learn more insight about this group in general. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them in the future. Once again, I am Jess. If you want to actually be someone that recommends me things, I have a tier option on Patreon where you are guaranteed reactions, and it's really fun to be able to take a look at different things like this because of that. So it always means a lot when people choose to do an extra investment in that way. But if you just want to hang out and see what I do on YouTube every day, but I do post a lot more on Patreon, you can definitely do that. I am involved discussion wise in both. Once again, I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.